Next up, I would like to introduce Donyé, Sahar, Sydney, and Shantelle to the stage as they discuss the art of power of storytelling.
We can start now? Hey y'all, how are you doing? So I'm so excited to be here today. Backstage, Sahar had asked me, do I like moderating better or do I like speaking? But on panels like this, I like moderating because I get to ask questions and learn just like you all. So today we're going to be talking about storytelling. Storytelling is such a unique talent that I feel like everyone in this room should possess, and I have the honor and privilege of talking with the ladies that know how to do it best. So we have Sahar, Cindyrella OG, and Shantelle, and then I'm the moderator. So I want to start off by just setting the stage and asking what storytelling means to each and every one of you, and how would you define it in the context of your personal journey? And when did you realize your story was your brand or the importance of storytelling?
Okay. Hi, guys. I'm so happy to be here today. Storytelling to me feels like my first language. I was born in Iran, came here when I was 5, so going back and forth between Iran and the US, what I remember about my childhood is sitting in the living room with my aunts, with my grandma, with the neighbors' cousins, with everybody and their mom. And storytelling was the way that women passed down information to one another. It was survival, it was bonding, it was a way for them to find freedom. So I think it's always been ingrained in my DNA. It's just what I know, it's how I know people communicate. And so I've always taken that with me in my life. I have a background as an attorney, and I think most of my life I've led with my accolades because that's just what the industry demands that you do. And when you come into the creative space, nobody really cares. They care, but they don't really care, right? It's whether or not they can relate to you. So I started stripping the accolades down, and I started talking about what it's like to be an immigrant, what it's like to lead your family, be the backbone, and do X and do Y. And then people started to see themselves in me, and I think that's when I was really able to target a large audience and build that brand.
I love that. I love that you said you got to strip away the accolades. Creators, yeah, we don't care. We just want to see what it is that you're talking about. And I think storytelling is such a great way to do that. So you want to go next, Cindyrella?
Of course. So for me, I feel like storytelling for me, obviously, kind of like Sahar, started from birth, really. I feel like when we come into this world, that is the origin of our story. That's our genesis. And I feel like for me, storytelling means what my reason is, the being of who I am. Because every day is part of my story. It's a new chapter, it's a new page. And even taking people along in learning about my journey. I started social media at a very young age, at 19. And I feel like I started because I wanted people to be along the ride of the journey of me becoming a woman and learning things, going to school, getting my degrees. And much like Sahar, I wore education as like my badge of honor, especially as like a Nigerian American. Y'all know how it is, you know, education first. So I feel like through that and kind of like graduating and not having a real story for what it felt like after not having my education anymore, or thriving in my education, through that field, I feel like I had to figure out that my story really is just who I am and the everyday becomings of who I am. So yeah, that's what storytelling is to me. So yeah.
Shantelle, I want to go to you because you have a unique perspective on storytelling. You kind of tell other people's stories as well, and you've kind of found this love from you telling your own. So can you touch more about what storytelling means to you and in your profession?
Yeah, absolutely. So from my background perspective, I've always been in marketing, whether it's entertainment marketing, social justice marketing, and that's currently where I sit at Planned Parenthood. And so storytelling has always been at the center, the nucleus of that, because you can't get people to watch your shows, you can't get people to buy your things unless there has to be some sort of human connection as to why. There has to be an emotion that is evoked to the story to get you to do the thing. And so I think from a career perspective, storytelling has always been at the core of everything. But personally, I didn't know the power of my own individual story until last year in 2024, when all of a sudden, in a matter of 3 months, I lost my youngest brother. And I'm an older sister, I'm the eldest, so you know I'm in charge. I'm in charge of the parents, the grandparents, the kids, everything. And so from that, I was very early in my pregnancy. And with that, then the doctors say that I have a brain tumor. And it's just like, what? Like, this is too much, too much. And so even in then, I had to have my daughter 2.5 months early. My daughter was a pound when she was born, a pound. And 2 weeks after that, I had to be rushed into brain surgery. Like someone opening up your brain. Like, it doesn't even make sense. And so in that, I wasn't able to tell my story because I needed to heal. I needed to feel and process all the things that I felt. And then once I finally shared it on my socials and my platforms, people were coming out of the woodwork in support, in health, in prayer, and advice. And even to the point where they're like, hey, girl, like, my mom just got diagnosed with a brain tumor. What's your advice? And that was a story that I almost sat on because I was still very vulnerable to it. But once I opened it up, everyone was able to contribute, and I was able to pour into other people just by sharing my story.
That's incredible. I definitely want to ask a question for all of you all. I feel like each and every one of you touched on like a personal part of your story, but I want to hear from you all. How do you determine what part of your story makes it to the feed, and how do you kind of like protect your essence and keep what's for you for you?
I don't share anything I don't want people to comment on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I don't share it, then if you try to comment, I can come for you. But if I share it and you comment, then I kind of have to accept that. That's on me. So I don't really open myself up to anything unless I'm willing to get everything in response to that. The good, the bad, the negative, the critiquing. So I think I only do that, as to your point, with things that I'm a little bit more healed on, mm-hmm. where I can withstand any type of negativity. If it's something that I'm still insecure about, because regardless of how much time goes by, there's going to be things that I'm forever insecure about. There just are. And I don't need a random person behind a fake account critiquing it or making a comment on it. So I only share the things that I know, one, the impact could be big. It really could help someone, save someone's life, make someone's day, and then also I can take the backlash.
That's a great answer. What about you, Cindy?
I would say that when I first started, I didn't really know what privacy was. I mean, you know, sometimes you be young, dumb, and out of control. And so I was definitely posting a lot more of my lifestyle, things I was doing. I was vlogging weekly, and I feel like as I grew older, as that frontal lobe fully develops, you kind of realize you need that privacy, you need that security for yourself. And I feel like it kind of definitely took me to not posting at all for a while. Like I took away from my story because I felt like I did feel like I was insecure about certain things that I was putting out, but I felt like it was helping people. So there was a battle between helping people with my story and protecting myself for myself. So having that learning curve was really hard for me, but once I figured out that no matter what I put out, it's helping somebody, I kind of feel like it was easy to gauge what I wanted to put out versus what wasn't of value to put out anyway. So, yeah, I try to put things of value out as much as possible. And even if I don't really feel the most comfortable, like recently, I lost my tooth. And I had to talk about that online because as such a public figure and people seeing me, I didn't want people to start questioning like, hey, what's going on in that mouth? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like being open and honest about it is something that I try to lead with, because at the end of the day, like Sahar said, we're going to be insecure about almost everything in our lives as we go on, but it's about who you're helping and the representation you're giving to people at the same time in that shame that you might have. So I try to live as shameless as possible.
I love that. I love the positioning of like getting behind your own story and saying something that you know people are going to inquire about. So it's like, look, I done already ripped the Band-Aid off. It's nothing more that you can say. Sahar, I do want to go to you because you came from a legal background. You double barred up. So what was the light bulb that went off to be like, you know what? I want to be a creator. I want to tell my story online. Can you describe that pivot?
I get this question a lot. People are always curious what it is that caused me to go from being an attorney to being a creator. I'm still an attorney, but how to go from being an attorney to being a creator. And I think it's an interesting question because I specialize in family law. I do high net worth, high conflict divorces. I mostly represent 99.99999% women. So I have to tell women's stories every day. I have to take years of pain, of hurt, of shame, of guilt, all of these human emotions, and present it in a system that doesn't care about emotion. I have to present it in a system that doesn't care about the fact that you got cheated on, or you got hurt, or you got backstabbed, or your partner didn't really value you throughout the marriage. And I think for a very long time, I had to quiet that voice of mine that was so emotional. I'm a Cancer, I'm a very emotional woman. But I had to quiet that in order to get the point across. And I stopped feeling comfortable doing that. And then I started going through IVF in order to have my daughter. Everything about her was very intentional. Even picking her name, I think your name is the first story that you tell. So I named her Noe Riot. And choosing Riot as her middle name was because I want her to have tenderness and rebellion at the same time. I don't want her to think that the opposite of power is weakness. I wanted to be able to give her a proper story. So I just stripped myself of all of the things that the legal system, that the court system had taken away from me. I tapped back into my emotions, and I just became that girl who's telling the story.
That's incredible, Sahar. Okay, Shantelle, I want to ask you another question about storytelling. I mean, that's why we're here, but I think you do storytelling from multiple different lenses. You have the corporate side, and then you also have the personal side, and you're shaping culture, you're helping create movements within the social justice space. So what advice do you have for people that are trying to manage multiple different lanes in a way that is authentic to their personal voice, but also it like helps the audience understand what it is that you're trying to convey as well?
Yeah, I work with a lot of creators and brands who also say the same thing. But I think if you look at it from the aspect of you can be a mother and you can be a daughter. You can also be a sister. You can be a cousin. You can be a business owner. So it's okay for you to bring your whole self to your social platforms. And just because you might have come out as just a beauty creator, that doesn't mean you just have to stay there. There's a way to find how you can use what you're passionate about to tell that story. And so I think even for Planned Parenthood, we work with creators across a facet of just different industries, different specificities. But I think when you think about the moment that we're in right now, the whole house is on fire, not just the roof. You know, every single room is on fire. And so we're at a point where you can't stay silent. So if I want to see a video talking about Planned Parenthood being defunded, while you're getting ready with me. I want to see you pick out your outfit while you're talking about something that made you upset about ICE and immigration. I want to see all of it because I'm feeling it just like everybody else. And so if I'm following you or if I'm supporting you, I want to know that you're just as angry as I am or you feel just as hopeless as I do. So I think there's a way where you can thread the needle through your content, but also get involved in the movement because culture moves before policy any and every single day. And so I think you as our culture leaders in this room, we're looking to you because your communities that are online that follow you, they're the ones that are impacted the most. So they want to know and they want to feel seen when they see you.
I love that answer because I feel like sometimes, yes, clap it up, clap it up. I think sometimes when we exist in this creator bubble, we sometimes forget that there's real stuff happening out in the world outside of our phones. So I love that you brought that up. I do want to ask a personal question. I feel like a lot of people may have this question too, but sometimes I feel like I don't know if somebody wants to hear my story today, if someone has the time to listen to what it is that I have to say. So how do you all build up the confidence to post that TikTok, regardless if it is 2 minutes long? Like, what does your process look like before you post, before you tell your story, that makes you confident in what it is that you're putting out, regardless of how it performs?
I have clinical depression. I struggled with wanting to be here for a lot of my life. I think the first time I felt the desire to not be here, I was 13, very young. Why should a 13-year-old ever feel that? And the reason why I am here is because it would be random moments throughout the day where someone would say something and I would see myself in them, and that would give me hope. Or they would share a story and it would make me smile, and that would buy me another 5 minutes. When you're in such a dark space, those 5 minutes add up. They get you to another day, they get you to another week, they get you to another month. So when someone is sharing a story, it could be the stupidest story. It doesn't matter. But if it puts a smile on someone's face, you have no idea what people are going through. There would be days I would go home and I would just sit there in my room contemplating if that would be the day. And then it wouldn't because someone cracked a stupid joke at lunch. Or it wouldn't because someone told me a story about their sister. So I just think sometimes we diminish the value of a story because of how well it performs. But what are we really doing? We care about the impact on one person, one life, right? And if we can just hit one life, then you've done more in your lifetime than you cared to, right? So I think for me, I just think, can I impact one person? And if I can, I share it.
I feel like oftentimes people tell you about remembering your why and your reason, but they don't talk enough about your who. And sometimes the who is why you're doing it. I know when I first started, I told myself, you know, in the internet space, there aren't a lot of girls that look like me. There's maybe only like 2 or 3 that you see in the room at all times. But I told myself the story that I have to tell is offered to people that have never had my experience. And everything about life is experiences. I don't know anything about Sahar's experience. I'm not sure about Donyé's experience. I'm not sure about anybody on this stage's experience in terms of personally until they share it with me. And so that's how I saw it for myself in terms of what was of value to share with people. It was like, for the people that look like me, for the chocolate girls that look like me, for the Nigerian girls that look like me, the girls that are the first daughters that look like me, I want to be able to share my story because somebody's going to look at that and say, I see that representation myself as being the first daughter, as being a Nigerian girl, as being a girl that's going after her master's, you know? So doing all of those things and sharing them as they're happening tells me that somebody's going to watch this and think, you know what? I can do that too. Or maybe it's time to share my story too because she left out this detail. So, yeah.
Shantelle?
Yeah, I think I'm inspired by both of them, honestly, all 3 of you guys. Because I think for that's beautiful that you're able to push past. And I think even in my creator journey, just because of life and life be lifing, but it's hard when you don't feel it. It's hard to show up for other people when sometimes you might not feel like you can show up for yourself. And so I think both of your points and just being able to know that you can make a difference in one person is just enough, because you remember when you were that low and you needed someone to post something, you needed to see something that would motivate you. And so I am inspired. I'm about to go, let me go get my post on so I can get up.
No, literally me. I'm like, I got some stories I need to tell.
You do have stories
I
to
need to
tell.
share them stories.
Let me start
Stop
writing.
sitting on them.
Yes. I did want to close by asking a simple question to each and every one of you. What is one part of your story, like as you're continuing your storytelling journey, that you refuse to change, you refuse to edit out?
Just to lighten it up a little bit. I think it's less about my story and more about the way that I say it. I love to cuss. I'm so sorry. I'm going to cuss. I don't care how many degrees I have. I don't care how many people say it's not womanly or sophisticated. I'm going to cuss, and I'm going to be authentic in doing so. So I'm going to keep that aspect of me.
Retweet.
I do cuss a
retweet.
little.
I
love an F-bomb. Love an F-bomb. Okay, Cindy, what about you?
Okay, so I feel like we all saw like the Instagram baddie aspect of, like, you know, when it was really popular and everybody wanted to be a mysterious girl. Yo, I cannot be a mysterious girl to save my life. I'm not mysterious at all. I think y'all can tell up here, I'm not mysterious. So I feel like my personality is something that I can never take away from my content. And honestly, I know we're up here talking about storytelling, but honestly, storytelling is something I can never take away from my content, because I feel like everything has to have like a reason of why I'm posting it. Even beauty video, I'm like, what is the theme behind this? Like, why am I doing my makeup? If there's not a reason, then I don't want to put it up, you know? So just storytelling and my personality is never gonna go. So yeah.
Love that.
I think for me, I'm a recovering perfectionist, and so I'm still working through that. So just knowing that when I show up, I'm not going to be perfect, but that part of it is a point in my life that I can always go back and look to. And I think just standing up for social justice causes, repro rights will just always be a thread, because I know so many Black and brown women, it impacts them. And I think the thread of my life has always, and something that I always lean into, is I always want to be in service to Black and brown women and girls. That whatever I do, that's what I want to do. And so I think that's how I will show up.
Thank you so much. Ladies, I'm inspired. Yes,
Thank
clap it up.
you.
I'm so inspired by their bravery. I feel like I'm not doing storytelling enough, so thank you. I hope this conversation inspired you all to tell your stories, and we'll see y'all next time. Thank you.